The Pennzoil 400 at Homestead-Miami Speedway. David Green started on the pole. Lap number 8, it was John Andretti who started second, going by up to the point. Then at lap 27, Bobby Labonte moved up around John Andretti to take over the top spot. He's held it most of the rest of the day. Green flag pit stops for the leaders. Top of the screen, Kenny Irwin spinning on pit road. Cost him a 2-lap penalty. Fortunately, everybody got by okay. But it has been all that man and that car so far. Bobby Labonte leading, while Dale Jarrett runs in 5th position, trying to lock up the NASCAR Winston Cup Championship for 1999. There is the man, Bobby Labonte. Originally from Corpus Christi, Texas, 35-year-old driver, 4 wins in 1999. Let's compare his style with that of Dale Jarrett. Maybe get a little indication of what their cars are doing as well at this point of the race.
Bobby having that easy a time. I pay him for that?
We talked about
I'm
this.
up here working.
We talked about this yesterday during the NASCAR Busch Series broadcast. We had a camera on Dale Earnhardt Jr., and he just looked like he was just tooling along. And we said, okay, we spend all this time trying to convince people that NASCAR drivers are athletes, but really they're under more strain than it looks like. The G-forces and so on their neck, and the amount of strength in the arms to keep those cars turned and doing what they need to do is more than it would appear just by looking.
And Alan, really, a golfer. Let's take a golfer. What is he? Precision. He takes something very hard, makes it look easy. These guys, when you stop and think, it's easy to sit up here sometimes and say, that's 145 miles an hour. It misses somebody by 6 inches. Now, to me, that's an athlete. That's taking something very hard, physically and demanding high hand-eye coordination. To be able to do that, you kids are the athletes, bet your life.
And do it in the temperature of a sauna all day with the steam bath that those cars become.
Well,
now, Bobby Labonte here in about another 10, 12 laps is going to have locked up the bonus points for leading the most laps in this race. So we'll keep an eye on that. First, some early pit stops. Here's Jerry Nadeau on the pit lane, dropping in. 40th position for Nadeau, and let's go down to pit road to Mike Massaro.
And Jerry Nadeau pitting a little bit out of sequence. He had cut down a right front tire not too long ago. He threw over the wall on the M&M's Pontiac, going to work on the right side. 2 tires there. They'll wheel around to the left side. A 4-tire change. 2 cans of 76 racing fuel on that machine. A good stop so far. No chassis adjustments. They're down and away. A good stop. They stole it. But now they refire it and finally get it away at 20.7. That will certainly hurt.
So, unscheduled stop there with problems for Jerry Nadeau. Now, we also saw Jeremy Mayfield on the pit lane. There's Mayfield leaving. He's been short pitting all day, coming in 5 or 6 laps earlier than most of the front runners, trying to gain the extra speed out of a set of tires. But he got caught for speeding leaving pit road earlier. It has dropped him back a lap behind the leaders and put him into about the 16th position before he came down pit road to begin the next cycle of stops.
You know, Alan, I was just calculating. I think what Jeremy Mayfield's team has done, they took this race and just divided it up in how many stops they could run. They knew they had to make so many stops, so when they made that stop, they put tires on each time. Now, they should have one more stop in this race, and they should be able to run to the end.
I'm not sure he's going to be able to go from here to the finish on one more stop, but we'll talk about that more in a minute. Here's Mark Martin. He's just taken 3rd spot away from John Andretti. So Mark, who started in 9th position, has been in the top 5 for quite a bit. Wow, that was close off turn 4.
I started to say, he was working there, working the wheel.
Full. So Mark has moved up into the top 3 now. He is 12 seconds, though, behind Bobby Labonte at this point in the race.
Well, you know, Bobby just put a staggering pace out there. So what we've been talking about all day is just what Bobby's been doing, and it's hard on other drivers. They're running as hard as they can, but they've hit the setup. You know, what everybody's looking for, especially on the lead lap right now, still, we hit on it earlier today, is another caution. Is a caution, not another one, because we haven't had one.
Haven't had any so far. There's Jack Roush, the mastermind of the Roush Racing 5-car operation of the NASCAR Winston Cup circuit, watching his driver Mark Martin come rocketing by the pit lane and off into turn 1. Marty Snyder has an update for us on Mark.
Well, Mark Martin's a pretty happy guy right now. His car is almost as fast as Bobby Labonte's, but about 40 laps ago, he wasn't very happy. He said the car is junk. It was way too tight. But then it started to come to him. It's getting better on the longer run. And this car has had some success for these guys this year. It sat in the shop, didn't run all year long until Dover in September. They brought it out. It won its first race. It finished 4th at Charlotte, 6th at Rockingham. And if it survives today, and it looks like it'll do a good job of that, if it survives today, it will go to Atlanta next week. It's Mark's favorite car, and currently it's keeping him in 3rd.
Well, you heard what Marty was saying about Mark saying it was junk early on, 40 laps. We were talking about the drivers. It's a very mental thing out there. Just as tough as driving, the mental aspect of this sport is understand how to make the chassis work and telling the crew what needs to be done.
Those veteran drivers have a way of making that, this is a dump truck. I hate it. There's all those different stuff. Man, I hate that as an owner. I'm standing there going, oh my gosh, we've had it today.
Looking up from Mark to the top two drivers, Bobby Labonte and Tony Stewart, and looks like Tony's starting to close in on Bobby just a little bit. He's got it down to 1.7 seconds, the distance up to the race leader. There you see some of the intervals. It was 1.95 seconds, and obviously Tony caught up in a little lap traffic between lap 175 and 176 that caused him to lose that ground. So Stewart running second behind Bobby Labonte. We're just past 250 miles in what has been so far a caution-free Pennzoil 400. Labonte, Stewart, Martin, Andretti, and Jarrett are your top five. Green flag pit stops coming up right around the corner. We'll be back in a minute. You're watching NASCAR on NBC.